Hello and welcome to How to Play Catan, presented by GatherTogetherGames.com. This video will cover how to play the board game Catan. The video will start with the general concepts and gameplay and then get into more of the details for the game. The game is played with 3 to 4 players. Start by creating the game board frame. These pieces connect by matching the small numbers at each end. Next, shuffle the 19 terrain hexes and place them inside the board frame. Next, take the 18 number tokens. These tokens have letters on the back. Put the tokens in letter order, then place them on the board starting in the upper left corner of the board with the A token. Continue putting the tokens on each hex, circling the outside hexes and moving inward. The desert hex does not get a numbered token. Finish the board setup by placing the robber piece on the desert hex. Each player will select a color of game pieces to use for the game. The player pieces include 5 settlements, 4 cities, and 15 roads. Each player will also get a building cost card to reference throughout the game. Separate the resource cards into 5 piles: hills, forests, mountains, fields, and pastures. Shuffle the development cards and place them face down. Place the largest army and longest road cards next to the board. Players will get to start the game with 2 settlements and 2 roads on the board. A settlement is placed on the points of the hexes. Roads are placed between points. Blue begins placing a settlement and a road. Play moves clockwise left to white, who will place a settlement and a road. Play moves left to orange, who places a settlement and a road. For the second settlement and road, orange will start, followed by white, then blue. For the second settlement, the players will receive resource cards for the resources produced by the surrounding hexes. Orange places a second settlement and road and receives brick, lumber, and wool. White places a second settlement and road and receives lumber, brick, and grain. Blue places a second settlement and road and receives ore, brick, and grain. Each player's cards are face up for you to see. In an actual game, you will keep your cards hidden from the other players. The object of the game is to be the first player with 10 victory points. Victory points are received by building cities and settlements, having the largest army or longest road, and by getting victory point development cards. Players will use resource cards received throughout the game to build towards getting 10 victory points. A turn consists of 3 phases: resource production phase, trade phase, and build phase. Blue starts the resource production phase by rolling the 2 dice. Blue rolls a 2 and 3 for a total of 5. The total amount rolled is found on the board. Any player with a settlement or city touching the hex for the number rolled will receive corresponding resource cards. Each settlement gets 1 resource card. Each city gets 2 resource cards. Both 5s are on field hexes. Blue and white have a settlement touching the fields and both receive a grain resource. After the resource production phase is complete, the trade phase begins. During the trade phase, players have the option to trade resource cards. Resource cards can be traded between players, known as a domestic trade. Trades can be proposed by any player and counter offers can be made. The player whose turn it is has to be a part of the trade. A player can also trade 4 similar resource cards for any 1 resource card from the stockpiles. Across the border, there are harbors that offer more favorable trade-in rates. Players with a settlement or city next to a harbor can trade in 3 similar resources cards for any 1 resource cards if the harbor is a 3-to-1 harbor, or can get 2-to-1 rates on a specific resource harbor. Here, Blue has a settlement on the grain harbor and can trade 2 grain resource cards for any 1 resource card. After the trade phase comes the build phase. The player whose turn it is can build using resource cards according to the building cost card. A player can use a log and a brick card to build a road. A log, brick, grain, and wool card are needed to build a settlement. Each settlement a player has on the board is worth 1 victory point. A settlement can be upgraded to a city with 2 grain cards and 3 ore cards. Each city a player has on the board is worth 2 victory points. A development card is received with a grain, wool, and ore card. Development cards will be explained in more detail later. Once a player finishes making any trades or builds wanted, the dice move clockwise left to the next player. White starts the turn by rolling the dice, and the resource cards are distributed. When a 7 is rolled, the robber is activated. First, any player with 7 or more resource cards loses half of them, rounded down. White has 7 cards and will choose 3 of them to give up. Then, the player that rolled the 7 will move the robber piece on the board to a new hex of their choosing. White moves the robber to a pasture with the number 3 token. When the robber is on a numbered hex, that hex will not produce any resources. Finally, White will get to steal 1 resource card from an opponent who has a settlement or a city adjacent to the hex with the robber. White steals 1 of Orange's resource cards. White will then get to trade and build if wanted. There are 3 different types of development cards that can be bought throughout the game. At any time during a player's turn, they can play 1 development card as long as the card being played wasn't bought on the same turn. When a knight card is played, the player will move the robber to a new hex, and the player will steal 1 resource card from an opponent who has a settlement or a city adjacent to the hex with the robber. The knight card will stay face up in front of the player. There are 3 different progress cards. Follow the description on the progress card when played. Here, blue plays the Year of Plenty progress card and gets 2 resource cards from the bank. A victory point card is kept by the player and can be used towards winning the game. During the game, the first player to play 3 knight cards is awarded the special largest army card that is worth 2 victory points. If a player creates a larger army, the largest army card is given to that player. The first player to build a continuous road with at least 5 road pieces is awarded the special longest road card. That is worth 2 victory points. If a player creates a longer road, the longest road card is given to that player. Once a player has at least 10 victory points on their turn, the player can win the game. White builds 2 roads to create the new longest road in the game. White takes the longest road card from Orange. White has 4 settlements for 4 points, a city for 2 more points, both the longest road and largest army cards for 2 points each, and a victory point development card for another point. White has a total of 11 victory points and wins the game. Players can only build up to the amount of pieces they have. Development cards can never be traded. A domestic trade cannot be made with similar resource cards. If a settlement or city is built along another player's longest road, the road is broken. The longest road card goes to the new player with the longest road of at least 5 road pieces. If a resource card pile runs low and multiple players are owed the resource, no player gets the resource card. The game setup can be randomized by placing the number tokens at random. The harbors can be randomized by placing the harbor tokens over the border harbors. That wraps up how to play Catan. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and get more game tutorials by subscribing to our channel, Gather Together Games. Thanks for watching.